It took my parents 3 years to be able to conceive and carry a baby to full term, and one of the things they may not have known about were endocrine disrupting chemicals. If they would have, this maybe could have changed the outcome that they had with their fertility journey and perhaps their behavior prior to maybe even getting married, after getting married, while conceiving, literally any of it. In 2024, in a CNBC article, Cameron McNair states that 76% of couples in America have or want at least one child. And then almost 17% of those 76 that want children have struggled or are struggling with infertility. So growing up, hearing about my parents' struggle with infertility, I became really interested in learning how to avoid and mitigate some of those issues. There are certain things that you can't control and other things that you can. So I have always been very interested in what I can do to really avoid this problem for myself. So environmental hormone disruptors are everywhere and they aren't going away. So we have to take matters into our own hands and learn how these factors can influence things like fertility. So today I'm going to talk about what endocrine disruptors are, major types that are linked to fertility concerns, and where these endocrine disruptors are commonly found and how to mitigate them. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the two biggest ones that are raising concern right now. So in 2020, Fertility Answers writes that endocrine disruptors are environmental toxins and substances in the environment. And then in 2025, the National Library of Medicine explains that endocrine disrupting chemicals, heavy metals, and pesticides are a huge threat to fertility. The problem here is that endocrine disrupting chemicals are everywhere, and you're exposed to them all the time. So the focus here isn't really getting rid of them completely, because that's just not realistic nor possible. But the focus instead is how to get as least exposure as possible. And the other problem here is that they last forever. They are considered forever chemicals and they don't leave your body. It doesn't flush out, it doesn't go anywhere, it just stays in your body. So it just builds and builds and builds, which creates another issue. Nature in 2026 states that endocrine disruptors alter hormonal signaling. So the endocrine system regulates your hormones, which is your growth, your mood, your metabolism, sexual development, and reproduction. So clearly, if your endocrine system is messed up, your hormones are messed up. If your hormones are messed up, then reproduction is probably messed up. So it just trickles down, which is why endocrine disruptors are such a big issue, because they connect almost directly to your reproduction. And this is why they pose such a big threat. So we just talked about what endocrine disruptors are and why they pose a threat. And then we're going to talk about the two biggest endocrine disruptors. In 2023, Reproductive Facts states that toxins can build up and cause changes in your body, which can affect fertility by changing a woman's hormones and cycle, and then can impact the sperm quality of a man. And then this could also change and affect the development of the fetus in the womb. In 2026, Nature states that one of these main toxins is a phthalate, and these are high protein chemicals. In 2020, Fertility Answers states that exposure to these toxins can decrease sperm quality, decrease ovarian function, and increase the risk of infertility. So, research groups have isolated the cause of these issues to these phthalates, which really just shows the effect of what it has on the human body and why they are such a big disruptor and significant in this research. And then PFAs are the second toxin that I'm going to talk about. In 2026, Nature wrote an article that states that PFA chemicals interfere with a wide range of hormones. In 2026, ASRM states that PFAs, which are also considered forever chemicals, are directly caused to decrease fertility. So if you're exposed to these PFAs, which everybody is, this will most likely reduce fertility, which therefore is really just points to say that minimal exposure to these PFAs is the best way to go. So we just talked about what these two of the very big endocrine disruptors are specifically, and then I'm going to explain how to, or what professional suggestions are to mitigate them, and then where they are most commonly found. So to increase chances of fertility, it's important to be aware of where these things are found, so that you can make an informed decision about what you're putting in, on, and around your body. So phthalates are made to make plastic softer and more flexible, and then they are also in fragrances so that they last longer. The British Columbia Medical Journal in 2020 states that most cosmetics, fragrances, conditioner, shampoo, soap, detergent, toothpaste, air fresheners, all contain these PFAs. And then in the Harvard News Journal, Karen Fielder in 2022 suggests not to use these products on your skin that have specifically a scent or a color. She also says that little changes make a very big impact. PFAs, secondly, are made to repel water, stains, grease, and maintain heat very well. So they are found in water, drinking water, nonstick cookware, food packaging, personal care products, and more. And a lot of common suggested alternatives to this is to get a water filter to decrease your consumption of heavily packaged foods, and then to use stainless steel instead of nonstick cookware, because it's in a lot of that. So we just talked about where they're found and alternatives to use instead. And so in conclusion, environmental hormone disruptors are all around us and can interfere with our bodies day to day and in the future too. So it's very important that we learn to make informed decisions about the world around us and the things that we're putting in our body. We covered what an endocrine disruptor is. We talked about two of the big ones that have been found to have a very significant impact on fertility. And then we also talked about professional suggestions on how to mitigate them and where they are found as well. So the next time that you are looking to buy a new pan or maybe some perfume, think about the effects that these chemicals can have on you and on your future, and maybe reconsider what you put in your shopping cart. Thank you.